The football playoffs are right around the corner. I mean, we have reached the final week of the regular season. As always, there are some games that matter, and then there are some games that don't. Um, and I want to talk about some of those teams playing in some of the games that don't matter. If you are one of those teams and you're just kind of playing out the string and you don't really have any chance, any hope of making the playoffs, what are you trying to get out of this last game of the season?
I think it's a real opportunity for like especially some of the younger guys on these teams to kind of show what they've got, maybe give the coaching staff, something to look forward to next year in terms of like if I'm that young player, like what I can bring to the table, right? And because it'd be easy for someone to just kind of not really care as much, in these games, at this point of the year where maybe you're not in the playoff race or you're not contending for a district championship. But these are some of those moments, those snaps that, you know, returning coaching staffs look at when spring ball rolls around and summer workouts come around. And it's like, who was doing things the right way at this, in that last game when it would be easy not to. Like that's kind of what I think coaching staffs are looking for. And also, I mean, if you can finish the year on a strong note, that can low key kind of be momentum going into, that next campaign.
Chad?
All right, I'm going to do a little bit of a guys I know from Midway segment here.
Let's go. Let's go.
When I
it,
was
it
in
has happened before.
yeah, it has happened before, but this is more of like a hearkening back to my high school days. When I went to Midway, Coach Bechtel obviously was the head coach there. I was kind of right in the middle of his tenure. My freshman year, we had a really good team, made the playoffs. We had the 4A Defensive Player of the Year, a guy named David Maxwell, a really good team. And then my sophomore and junior year, we weren't very good. We're talking maybe 3, 4 win teams, maybe 5 wins. And this is in the two teams making the playoff era still. So it's, there were a lot of teams on week 11 or week 10 back then that weren't playing for anything. And I would go in and interview Coach Bechtel, every week pretty much. And it really felt, I can remember it feeling like going into those last few weeks, it was just kind of trying as hard as you could to turn the wheels and stay motivated for something. Because injuries and things like that had kind of kept the year from being what they hoped it might be, and just continuity could never get continuity going and because of injuries. And then my senior year, we didn't make the playoffs again, but we finished really strong and had two guys. Gerald Harris rushed for 1,500 yards and Marcus Thompson rushed for 1,000 yards. And they were kind of coming up to those barriers as you got to those milestones as you got up to the last couple of games of the year. And so that was something to really be interested in and really stay fired up about. Now, whether it's a coincidence or not, or whether it was like, part of the momentum of the program or not, turn around the next year. And that was actually when Kevin Brown was a junior. They had a really good team and lost to Hayes Consolidated, I think 2 or 3 rounds into the playoffs. And then the next year after that, the 1997 season, they had a great team and went all the way to the state semifinals. So whether that had much to do with it and momentum wise or not, it's hard to say, but you could definitely track that a little bit if you wanted to say that. Another guy I know from growing up, my youth pastor Bob Johns, who retired a couple years ago. He was a football player in high school, and he's always talked about you're always going to remember that last game you ever play. And so if for guys that aren't going to the playoffs and this is the last one, go out there and make it memorable because you're always going to remember that one.
Yeah, no doubt. I'll cover a couple things that y'all kind of hit on, but uh, first of all, none of us played high school football, correct?
Yep, I did not.
Michael and I played some high school basketball. Chad was a golfer. Um, but I had a son who played, and he was one that didn't get that varsity chance until he got to be a senior. There's plenty of other kids like that out there, and you're only promised 10. You get 10 chances. And if you think it goes by fast for us, think about those players. I mean, it goes by quick. And so, yeah, as Chad said, it is a chance for them to suit up and play one more time and to to try to get a win. And uh, just kind of building off of that, for a team like, let's say, Waco High, who's in the middle of a pretty rough, or at the end of a rough year. They're 0-9. But they play a team this week in Brian Rutter, who, I think Ezra Martinez would probably say, we have a chance to win this game. I mean, I know they would go say that against anyone, but, sometimes it's a little more legit than others. Or a team like Drosbeck, another team that's in a first year head coaching situation. They play Maypearl this week, 3-6 Maypearl, 2-7 Grosbeck. Coaches will say that Saturday goes down a whole lot sweeter when you have a Friday night win. And it doesn't matter if you're playing again the next week or not, it's still going to be sweet to get a win. And so, yeah, you still got stuff to play for, even if, you don't get one of those gold balls.
Yeah, I agree.